You ready?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Let's do it.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights, dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Blind guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
What up? What up? What up? What's good, Tone?
What's good? How we feeling?
We are in the house, man. You was traveling last weekend, so
Yo.
I still got it done. We had a good conversation, man. I figured you was busy,
Bro.
but traveling.
These past couple weekends, I've definitely been traveling. Trying to think. Last weekend, I was visiting in-laws.
Yo.
And the weekend before that, flew back to Philly for a little bit just to check in with some people. Had my good friend's birthday was going on, so I had to show love to him. So yeah, man, these past few weekends have been pretty busy. This is my first weekend where I ain't really got much going on. You know what I mean? So I know tonight me and wife will be going to go see the Thunderbolts. So I'm looking forward to see that.
Okay.
But other than that, man, my weekend's gonna be pretty chill, man. What about you?
About the same, man. I'm still up here cleaning up, trying to get my office together. Been doing a lot of outdoor stuff, trying to get my back patio together because I know I'm gonna be cooking in the next couple weeks. So I'm just getting that stuff together now, man. Gonna plant some flowers. I didn't plant any flowers in the garden last year. My wife was mad at me. So gotta get that together. I done turned up the dirt. I gotta go buy some topsoil.
Yeah.
Went to Lowe's the other day, took a bunch of picture of flowers, make sure I like the ones. So I'm gonna take care of that probably either this weekend or sometime during the week, man. So just doing all the good old domestic stuff.
No,
So,
yeah. It's funny you say that. My wife had brought home this plant from work. I think it's cocoa mint or some kind of chocolate mint plant. And let's just say I'm the person who keeps things alive in the house. Let's just say that.
You got the green thumb?
Let's just say that I keep things alive. But no, man, I'm looking forward to today's show. We got a lot to talk about. Rookie minicamp just started.
Yes, it did.
A lot of people are in the building. Even some vets came through. We saw AJ Dillon and Jay Hurts getting busy. We saw Saquon in the building. So yeah, man, a lot to get into. Let's really pull back the layers of this draft class, the undrafted class, and even the rookie minicamp invitees.
Yeah, man, it's always good when some of the vets show up. I remember when I was my rookie camp. I can't even remember. I think Herschel may have been there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Randall may have showed up because he was just over the bridge, so it wasn't nothing for him.
Right.
So it just it make you feel good, especially if you're a rook. I know it's a little bit different now, and I know everything is a photo op, or a social media post.
Is it the first time we speaking since the draft? As far as like content wise, I think this is the first show since we haven't really like you and I haven't really chopped it up about this draft class in its entirety.
Right, because you had to
I had to go away the following weekend. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, this is the first time we've been able to chop it up.
Okay, yeah, we got some things to talk about then. We got to tap into the 5th-year option being picked up for Jordan Davis. So we got some things to talk about.
That was huge, man. That was huge. Doomsday Corner Sports. Appreciate the $2 super chat, man. That's dope. Keep up the good work. We will definitely do that. We ain't going nowhere.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate
it. Thank you for joining the squad.
Yeah, so where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the 5th-year option? Do you want to get into the draft class? I know the class has more players, but I'm ready to start wherever you want to start at.
We can start with the big man. We can get that out the way first because we're gonna spend a lot of time on the draft picks.
Okay, so Jordan Davis, he got the 5th-year option. They guaranteed his 2026 season. He's due to make a grand total of $18.2 million between 2025 and 2026.
He ain't missing no meals.
So his lineage is definitely secure as long as they do what they're supposed to do with the money. But
Right.
Congratulations to him first and foremost. That's a lot of money to have locked up. So when they, well, let me start by saying this before I ask you what your opinion was on the 5th-year option being picked up. I'll make it very clear, as I've said on many other of my shows, I had a very firm feeling that they weren't going to pick it up. I think you and I spoke about that.
Yeah,
I was under the impression they wouldn't pick it up,
especially when they got Robinson.
Even before that,
yeah.
Even before that, I had a feeling they wouldn't pick it up, mainly because of the fact that they probably thought maybe we can even get him for less money than that, or maybe they haven't been fully pleased with his developmental arc. So on and so forth. So like again, I had various reasons why I didn't think they would pick it up. That's not to say I didn't want them to. And I think that's where a lot of these past couple of days I've been having to really check people and have them really understand my sentiment, because what I'm noticing is that people are truly taking what I'm saying and trying to make it either negative or purposely misrepresent how I view Jordan Davis. And when it comes to Jordan Davis, well, before I get into my opinion, how did you feel about him getting picked up?
Listen, man, I thought it was good, man, because I look at it from the standpoint of I am always trying to look at who's going to have the best continuity, because every year you got new draft picks coming in, the rooks are coming in. So, but when you're in that unique situation like the Eagles are, which the Chiefs were a few years ago, where you're trying to run it back, you're not trying to get better, you're trying to run it back. So rarely do you find yourself in that situation, even with the teams that actually win a Super Bowl. That next year, the prospects always don't look good, but we're in that unique situation where right off the bat, everybody thought we got the opportunity to run it back. And Howie Roseman set that up, and it's coming to fruition. Now you still got to act out on it, and you still got to make it manifest. But just to be in that situation, now it could all go to hell in the handbasket by week 4. But as of right now, with our draft, with our positions, with all of the players that we paid to bring back, including Jordan Davis, all of that stuff, we have set ourselves up to again be one of the best teams in NFC East. There's no reason I can see right now why we shouldn't win it. So, and I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but still, the way our team is set up, we should have a good run back to the playoffs. And again, once you get back to the playoffs, everything's open for you. So I think Howie has set us up in a good situation. I think the situation with Jordan Davis just shows continuity. We got another Georgia player in, so keep the squad together. Why mess up a good thing?
Yeah.
Why mess up? I don't really see the drawbacks in the signing them for the 5th year, because you already know that the salary cap's going to go up again next year. He's already set things in motion for Jordan or for Jalen Carter. We all know that. We know what's coming with that, and Howie knows what's coming. So I know he's going to have that handle. So like we talked before, man, I think last time, it's all about reloading.
Right.
We got the pieces to be able to make a deep run in the playoffs. Or you know what? Let's not even go that far. There should be no reason, barring any crazy injuries or anything like that, why the Eagles are not in the playoffs at top of the division again. So, we'll see how it goes, but we in a good spot.
Yeah. And you didn't say anything that I disagree with, right? Speaking for myself, I've never, mentioned anything about there being a drawback to keeping Jordan Davis. I've never said anything that was against Jordan Davis, right? I've always approached it from a perspective of what do the Eagles have on the horizon, and what are the financial decisions they are going to have to make, and where could I see them cutting costs? And where do they believe they gotten the most bang for their buck based off of the investment they made via draft capital? Most of my decisions, or most of my talking points as it pertains to Jordan Davis, are not rooted in feelings,
right?
Are not rooted in emotion, are not rooted in passion, are not rooted in fandom. It's rooted in strictly business. Because as much as people want to bloviate about this Georgia brotherhood that exists within the team, and yeah, it does, but the cold reality is all these guys won't be on the roster in the end.
There you go.
In the end. And some people will say, damn, Tony, you being negative. I say the truth hurts.
That's a fact.
And the reality is, when I think about all the Georgia players on this team, I think Howie Roseman would love to keep these guys together. But
absolutely.
Here's the cold reality that people want to keep ignoring. They want to focus on the emotion. They want to focus on they want to focus on me talking about the money. And the reality is, it takes two people to make a deal.
Facts.
And yeah, they picked up his fifth-year option. I'm happy about that, even though I didn't think they would pick it up. I'm happy about that because I'm still a fan of this team. I like Jordan Davis. I understand his value on this team. There were many people on this team, some of the same people who are trying to take my head off for having an opinion about Jordan Davis' situation. Those same people are the same ones who was bloviating and crying about Jordan Davis's conditioning, crying about the fact that Jordan Davis ain't doing this, ain't doing that, calling him a bust, so on and so forth. But we won the Super Bowl, and now everybody forget that what they used to say about Jordan Davis. That's really what it is. We won the Super Bowl, and now they forget how they used to talk about that man.
Selective amnesia.
Selective amnesia. So for me, Jordan Davis is a guy that I wanted on his team. I like him on his team. I was one of the early people who understood his value when some people was whining about things he couldn't do or wouldn't do. Now, I always talk about what I think he can do, even when he hasn't even shown it consistently yet. I believe he has the tools to be a guy that can get to the quarterback, at least give you between 4-5 sacks a season, between 4 to 6 sacks. I think he has the athleticism to do that. I don't think it's ever a question of athleticism with him. The question is the snap count, and the question is how deep is his pass rush bag? And so far, he hasn't really shown a consistent ability to do that. But again, his main role on this team is on first and second down as a nose tackle, especially when they use him in multiple fronts, those 5-man fronts. Jordan Davis has a real role on this team that allows guys like Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean to roam free through the A-gaps. He keeps those guys clean. He takes up a lot of space.
Exactly.
He's a brick wall. He's a body mover. I understand that brother's value on this team.
Not to mention when he playing next to Jalen Carter.
Exactly. Jordan Davis is an elite run stopper. He's an elite run stopper.
Absolutely.
But like I said to you before, it takes two to make a deal. And the big mystery, no matter how they feel or how I feel, the biggest mystery is what's the premium the Eagles are putting on that?
Right.
What's the value they're willing to put on that? Because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to this. When contract time comes, because after this season, contract talks begin. I wouldn't be surprised if they started already.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting because, again, everybody knows that Jalen Carter is coming. So everything's going to be maneuvering around that first. Once that gets done, then everything else is going to fall into place. But that is going to be paramount.
Yeah, and, my man Alex here, shout out to my man Alex. He said JD was never a pass rusher, right? Fair enough, right? But when you draft the guy 13th overall, when you trade up to get him in the first round, you're expecting more than what you got. And I think that's what people got to understand. When you trade up when you draft the guy that high, because I promise you this, they were enamored by that combine. They saw that combine, they saw that athleticism, and they said, you know what? We know for a fact he can stop the run. But with that kind of athleticism, with that kind of finesse, that kind of speed at that size, he has to be able to. We can only assume that he can take on a pass rush role as well. When you draft guys, you're not just drafting them for what they are. You're forecasting.
Right.
You're forecasting. And The Eagles forecasted, whether people want to believe that. People want to say, "Hey, where's your source? Where's your source?" I don't need a source to confirm. I don't need a source to confirm that. When you draft the guy in the first round at that high, you're not drafting him just to stop the run. You're not drafting him just to be on first and second down. You're not drafting him just to play 35% of the snaps. You're not. You're not.
Well, here's something that's changed though, and we have to look at it from this perspective because now we understand that Howie knows how to draft for the role, and if the role gets you to a Super Bowl, then the role was worth it.
Fair. That's what it became. That's what it became.
Correct.
That's what it became.
You rolled the dice, and now you saw. And again, to me, Jalen Carter is Neo. Protect Neo.
Right.
Right. So everything is about him being the
best version of himself.
Yeah, him being the arrow point, and everything comes behind him.
Has to fit that, and I'm with that.
Yeah. So if having Jordan Davis in there to free up some space from Jalen Carter, or however they want to play it, you just got the ultimate prize. Whatever you did to get there, do whatever you got to do to keep everything the same.
And here's the thing, Marcus. I'm cool with that. I'm not even mad that we drafted him that high and only got what we got. I'm not even mad about that because of the Jalen Carter element. I'm not mad about it because it fits. Yeah. I'm personally not mad at that. As an Eagles fan, I like the way this defensive line fits. I love the Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis combination. As an Eagles fan, I love how that fits. But once I get past my fandom, once I get past how it fits, once I get past the fact that they picked up that fifth-year option, now I got to start thinking about the long term. Now I got to start thinking about, okay, he's here for 2025. He's here for 2026. What happens in 2027 and so on and so forth? So then that begs the question, from a financial standpoint, from a contractual standpoint, what's the value, or what value are the Philadelphia Eagles putting on what Jordan Davis does? Because let's say
by the end, you're going to have a lot more data.
And by the end, we're going to have way more data because we can, because either we're going to find out that there's more to the, more to the Rubik's Cube, or we're going to find out that he is what he is. And then that begs the question, what are the Eagles willing to offer him? And what is he willing to take? Because it takes two people to make a deal. And let's be honest about this. To get big money in this league on the D-line, you got to be able to get to the quarterback. That's the big money. Now, run stuffer money, it gets a little tricky. That's kind of hard to gauge. It's all about the value you put on that and how it fits in your defense. And then it goes back to what Jordan Davis and his representatives are willing to accept. Eagles make an offer. JD and his camp, they counter. Eagles receive the counter, and it's going to come back to whether or not they want to take that deal.
Exactly.
And if they can't come to a deal, which is very possible, and that's the only perspective I speak from when it comes to Jordan Davis, is that although I love and although I appreciate what he does, and I know where he fits on his team, and I know the value in it, it's not about what I value. It's not about it's not about what I want to pay him. It's what the Eagles value and how they want to pay that position and what he does. That's what it's going to come down to. And I just want people to understand that conversation is coming, and it's coming faster than you think. The fifth-year option, what I want people to understand is they picked it up, and I'm happy about it. They are going to have to make a decision. And somebody just put here, bro, it's not your money, Tone. You're taking it too serious. We're talking about the Super Bowl, my G. We're talking about maintaining a roster. You build teams through the money. You build teams through the draft. I take this serious because this is my craft. This isn't a video game to me. This is my craft.
I think it's a win-win for us.
I agree. I think the Eagles have all the leverage.
I think this is one of those situations, in my opinion, where I think it's a win on both sides.
Yeah.
Big Jordan got paid. He'll get paid again if he produces. If he doesn't, he got his bag, and wherever he goes next might not be as much, but he ain't gonna miss no meals.
Exactly.
The Eagles, on the other hand, the cap hit is 5.3 this year. Next year, it'll jump up to 12, but you still got money to play with, again, because the cap is gonna go up a bit. So the Eagles will still have room to maneuver. And again, you're watching the production. If they get what they want from him, it's worth it. If they don't, they really didn't pay that much money in the big scheme anyways. So I think it's just a win-win on both sides. And you know, Big Jordan don't want it. He ain't trying to be out there to be a scrub.
Yeah, and JD, he love it here.
Yeah,
he want to be here with his guys. And I saw somebody say, Andrew Nathan RPS, he says Vita Vea got $17 million a year. I'd offer JD 17.5 max. He's not him. He's not him.
But same concept though. I see why you would say that. But with Vita Vea, he's somebody that just you ain't gonna move him. So let somebody else do something else. So I get what he's saying. He's just not as good as Vita Vea. Not yet, anyways.
Yeah, not yet. Vita Vea, not only is he doing what Jordan Davis does, he's getting to the quarterback consistently. So you got to think about the price of admission, the price paid at his role, what he does. Vita Vea is the perfect example as far as what they wanted out of Jordan Davis. But regardless, though, all I'm trying to say is if this if it's not my money, right? And if it's not as serious, why everybody mad at me then when I talk about it? Why everybody get upset when I bring it up if it's not that serious? Why get upset then if it's not that serious? It is serious because we're talking about maintaining the integrity of this defensive line. We're talking about making sure the Eagles remain in Super Bowl standing. We take this game serious. We watch this game every week. Let's not split hairs on what we take serious or not. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. That's the lazy part of the conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Solo, that's a good point. That's a good point. You won't miss him until he's gone. You won't think about it until he's gone.
And guess what? I agree with that.
Not our problem now.
And guess what? I agree with that. But guess what? It takes two people to make a deal. I think people think I want him gone. I don't know how many other ways to say it. I want him here.
I'm glad he's here. Howie got it done. And we're gonna roll with it another year.
Yeah,
and matter of fact,
I want him here, bro. I want him here.
Now you're talking about
him here because I talk about the business.
You know, or you gonna be stuck with Booker the fourth. So, but he's another one. Even him, he didn't play a lot, but he made the most of his opportunities.
Yeah. Overall, again, I want JD here. I want him here. I understand what he does. But I also have a responsibility to forecast and look at the business side of it. I'm doing the same thing Howie Roseman doing. Only difference is how are we looking 10 years into the future.
Facts. His check's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that's the only difference. I'm doing the same thing he's doing, forecasting, looking into the future, trying to forecast because Jordan Davis, there's not many people in the league that does what he does.
It's interesting. They got Jihad listed as a middle backer.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Kobe,
which is interesting. Which is very interesting regarding the Kobe situation. Now, obviously, Vic is going to find the perfect place to put him, but it's going to be interesting to see how that linebacker position plays out because somebody said something to me that I disregarded at first. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, that sounds more plausible than not. But still, I think it's a far cry because of the injuries to Nakobe, and because Jihad is still recovering from the surgery for the surgery from the shoulder. As of right now, your linebackers are Zach Bond, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and Smile Mondon, and I guess Ben Van Sumeren, but I don't really count him because he's a linebacker, and I mean a special team guy, and they use him as a fullback. So.
And Josh Uche.
Uche's more of an edge, though. He's more of an edge.
I mean, well, yeah.
Like off ball, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess basically what somebody was saying to me was, don't be surprised if Smile Mondon makes some waves and he could be in contention to start at least until Nakobe or Campbell comes back.
That's possible. And I'm looking to see.
I disregarded it at first.
I'm really looking to see this is a real opportunity for Trop.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Real opportunity for Trot. I think the benefit of having Jihad here is because Jihad they got him at 2 spots. They can put him on the edge because people forget he was recruited to go to Alabama as an edge. He moved to linebacker because of injury. So edge is his.
I thought he moved to linebacker because they were just loaded there. And
they were. Somebody got hurt, and they moved him back.
Oh, somebody else got hurt, and
one of the linebackers got hurt.
Okay,
so he moved back there, and he proved that he can play, he can run, he can cover, and so I think they're going to be able to use him, bounce him around the line, and really confuse some offenses by where they're going to put him.
Right.
So, is he going to be our version of Micah Parsons?
Yo,
he's got that type of talent.
I literally was talking about that a few days ago. I was saying that when Micah first came into the league, he was a linebacker. But then the Cowboys had an injury on the edge, and they said, I forget who the DC was at the time, but they said, hey, let's try Micah there, and that's where they figured out, whoa.
And then for the rest of that year, he was bouncing up and down the line. You ain't know where he was going to line up.
You ain't know where he was going to line up.
The gaps on the nose, he was everywhere.
Exactly,
and it caused problems.
And I think that's the Jihad Campbell mode. If I'm looking at a player to even mimic what they did or what they're trying to figure, and I trust Vic to figure this out. I trust Joe Casper and Jeremiah Washburn. Joe Casper and Washburn, they were there day one when he came to the building. They were the first ones at the building to shake his hand. If I'm studying any player or if there's any situation I'm looking at that can compare to the Jihad Campbell situation, it's the Micah Parsons situation. Because Micah came in as a linebacker. Then all of a sudden they had an injury. They found out, oh, this guy can play off ball.
Right.
And that could be the Jihad Campbell situation. You know, he's a guy that can rush the passer. He can rush through the A gap. He can rush up the edge. He could drop back in coverage. He can run side the sideline. He could tackle in open space.
Man, he gives Vic Fangio options.
Yes. And I think, because somebody else brought this up, do you see a scenario where when Nakobe and Jihad come back, do you see a scenario where Fangio finds a way to get Bond, Dean, and Campbell on the field at the same time?
Possibly. Somebody's going to have to come off, but yeah, you can make that happen. You've got a good mix of players. The only person that I haven't really seen do anything besides play on the edge is, can Jalix Hunt drop back?
Yes, he can. He actually has some tape doing that this past season. Did it pretty well. And here's the thing about Jalix Hunt that people, I don't want to say overlook, but maybe they just forget.
I know he's not very big.
He's not, and the reason for that is because Jalix. So coming in, Jalix Hunt, he was originally a safety in college.
Right.
I think he went to, was it Cornell or Brown?
Houston Christian.
No, prior to that, he transferred to Houston Christian. He went to an Ivy League school. Was it Cornell?
Yeah, I think it was Cornell.
He went to Cornell, and he was playing safety. And then he bulked up and transitioned to the edge rusher spot. And that's how he was able to really shift his football future.
Yeah, it was Cornell.
Because he became an edge rusher. So he brings those coverage skills, those safety skills, he brings those skills to the edge rusher position.
Yeah, he was 6'3". I didn't realize he was 6'3". He was 6'3", 236 as safety. That's oof.
And I think he's
not somebody you won't coming across the top trying to take your head off.
And I think he's put on a little bit more weight too.
Because they got him as 254 right now.
They got him at 254 now? 6'3", 254?
That's what I see on the dang it. I just had the roster up and I lost it.
Let me see.
They got him lit 252. They got him listed. Now, see here on Wikipedia, they got him listed at 6'4", 252.
Bro, Jahad, excuse me. I think Jahad Campbell was like 6'4", 6'5", 245.
I'll be forgetting how big that kid is.
If I'm not mistaken.
6'3", 245.
6'3", 245. And Jalen Hunter is 6'3" or 6'4", 252. And those guys can not only drop back, but they can rush off the edge.
Yeah.
That's like prototypical edge rusher size.
Dude, our size
that's what you want.
Our size and speed on that defensive line
is crazy.
Scary.
Did you notice that a lot of the guys they drafted, the most significant trait or the most consistent trait out of all those guys they drafted was their speed?
Yeah.
Was their speed. Like Ty Robinson, he ran a 4.8 at 6'5" or 6'6", 288.
6'5", 283.
283. Ran a 4.8, 4.87, I think. Mac Williams.
McWilliams.
He ran a 4.41.
I believe. Hold on. Right yes, 4.41 split. 40.
Who else? Jahad Campbell ran a 4.5 something.
I think Jahad ran a
was it 4.54?
He may have been like 4.6. Hold on. But still, that's still fast for coming off the edge.
Exactly.
Let me see. 4.52. Damn, that's running back. Put him in the backfield with Saquon.
And what's the 10-yard split?
1.53.
And guess what? Mac McWilliams and Jahad Campbell's 10-yard split are identical.
That's crazy. What was let me see. Because everybody, I think he's gonna be another one of them dark horses, but APR, man. 4.69, 1.64, 10-yard split. APR.
Oh yeah, Antoine Powell Ryland.
Yeah.
He ran a what? A 4.6 what?
He ran a was that 4.68? 4.69? And a 1.64 10-yard split.
Didn't he have like 16 sacks last season? Or like 13 sacks, something like that?
Yep.
Like, that's like who else? Andrew Makuba. Andrew Makuba's 40-yard dash time and Jahad Campbell's 40-yard dash times aren't that far off from each other as far as 10-yard splits and all that.
4.45 Makuba.
Like, that's the constant narrative. Speed, ranginess.
I remember seeing that play during the season and just not connecting the dots. That was him that put that hit on Jackson Dart.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Knocked his helmet off.
Man, like he ran into a brick wall. That was a hell of a play right there. Clean hit, everything. Everything that you want. And he only 186.
He put on 8 pounds. He's 194. So prior to his pro day, he was 186. When his pro day got here, he ended up weighing 194. So he put on 8 pounds of muscle since the combine.
That's good.
So I think the Eagles want to get him to at least 198.
Close you can get to 200 without losing any speed.
Exactly.
Because that is very easy to do. And you don't want to get caught in that. Been there, done that, not fun.
You know,
I was trying to connect with Big Barrett. I texted him the other day. I was like, bro, I got to get you so we can talk about these behemoths we got on that offensive line because it is ridiculous.
I'm glad you said that. I was
ridiculous.
looking at
those jokers are.
I was looking at some of these guys on the offensive line, right? Dog. They brought in the kid, Holland Pierce.
Yeah.
From Rutgers, 6'8", 341. They brought in, is it what's his name? My man's name. They brought in Miles Hinton.
Miles Hinton.
6'7", like 330 something.
And what's the other? Is it Kellen?
Kendall? Drew Kendall, the interior offensive lineman.
Yeah, his pops played in the league for a lot of years.
Yep. And Miles Hinton, his dad played in the league. His dad is like a 6-7 time Pro Bowler, one-time first team All-Pro. His dad was a baller.
Hinton is huge. The biggest guy ever been around. My first year in the World League, we got this guy on the squad. I don't even think he didn't even stay on the team. He was 6'6", 405. And when we walked, I'd never forget, we walked down Princess Street, which is like Scotland's version of Broad Street. And we were part in the Red Sea. He was so big. Crazy. I think Mekhi Becton sparked something.
I'm glad. It's funny you say that. You know, I think it started or began with the Jordan Mailata experiment.
Agreed.
And then it just trickled down from there.
Well, I'm saying that because Mekhi was at guard. You don't see guards that damn big.
Good point. 6'7", 360, like 350. You don't see that.
Nah.
And
who did we sign? Didn't we sign another Australian guy or New Zealander?
Yeah, some rugby guy. I forget his name though. I saw it somewhere. I saw it somewhere, man.
And listen, Howie ain't stupid. They got all them Samoans over there in New Zealand and Australia that's playing rugby. Anybody that's playing rugby, you already know they got good feet.
Yo, listen to this. So I'm reading some observations from Ricky Minicamp today. They said when the first team or when the first offensive line took their positions, they said here's how they lined up. They had Miles Hinton at left tackle, Laken Vakalahi at left guard, Drew Kendall at center, Holland Pierce at right guard.
Damn.
And Cameron Williams at right tackle.
That's the Great Wall of Philly, man.
Yo, I was having a conversation earlier with the chat, and I asked them, like, you know, talent aside, why were the Eagles? And I knew the answer. I was going to see if they were on the same page with me. Why were the Eagles so successful? Not just over the past few years, but specifically in 2024. Why were they so successful as far as executing their style of play? Just like everything surrounding the 2024 season. Why were they so successful? And
because the offensive line consistently continued to be great. And we finally got a running back, and we finally gave the running back the ball like a number one running back should get it.
Right. But let's even make it more simple than that. Right? Because the Saquon Barkley took it to another level. We know that. But we
were destroying everybody in the trenches.
Yep. Big guys beat up on little guys.
Offense and defense.
And the Eagles, they took it. I think they did the science a little bit. They assessed where the league was trending or where the league has trended. And they say, you know what? We're going to zig where everybody's zagging. Meaning, as we're entering this full-on passing era, or as we're existing in this passing era, teams are designing their defenses to try to keep up with these athletic tight ends, these athletic receivers, right? Meaning run defense has kind of fallen from the forefront. Linebackers are getting smaller, but they're getting faster.
Right.
So what do the Eagles do? They say, okay, everybody passing, we're going to run the ball. And not only are we going to run the ball, we're going to put all these 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guys on the offensive line that weigh 330-plus pounds, and we're going to see if y'all can run with that.
Listen, I'm waiting for them to say that the tush push is banned. It don't matter no more. It don't matter. You put them big boys on the left side of that line overloaded. You put Ty Robinson in the backfield at fullback. You put AJ, what's his name? Dillon. You put Dillon back there as another running back. However you want to mix that up. They are in trouble. And they're going to be pissed off about that too, because they ain't going to be able to stop it. We have too much leg drive and power back there, and can't nobody stop it. They cannot stop it. I watched the tape of Ty Robinson playing fullback. He looking for somebody's clock to clean. He looking for it. And then you got all them big boys, man. Take A.J. Brown out of that formation, take them all out, load it up, and just run right down their throats. We good. Ban it if you want to, Roger. We are good.
The Eagles had 52 people show up for minicamp. That's a good number.
Yep.
It's a real good number, man.
More than the White House. You leave that alone.
Yeah, that's a real. Listen, man. You can leave that alone, man. That's.
I have thoughts on Saquon, but
yeah. I got thoughts too, but I'm gonna leave it to that because
my only issue with Saquon is don't act like you ain't know you was gonna get pushback. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, feigning ignorance and oblivion is not.
Yeah, you have every right to do what you did. You had every right to get on that plane, take that ride, play that round of golf. You have every right, but don't act like you surprised that everybody ain't gonna be on board with it. That's my thing. I'm like, you'd have been better off. You'd have been better off just not saying nothing.
That's what I said. I said
you can't win that battle. I was like, that was stupid, dude.
I said, just don't say nothing. That's all. Don't say
nothing. Do you?
Don't say nothing.
You gotta say nothing. You got nothing to prove.
Oh man, don't say nothing. Live with it.
Yeah, live with it.
Guys feel that pressure and they get uncomfortable. And
do what you gotta do.
But regardless, though, a lot of guys showed up for camp. A lot of guys, 52 guys showed up. A lot of guys are tryouts. You know what I mean? They did bring in a plethora of guys they handed out a bunch of rookie minicamp invites.
Yeah.
But as far as guys that showed up, you got Kyle McCord, Jaquez Stewart, who's a tryout. You got Montrell Johnson, Shonderick Powell at running back. At receiver, you got Ife Adie, who's a tryout, Nasir Morgan, who's a tryout, and Marion Brown, who's a tryout. You got Darius Cooper, who's an undrafted free agent. You got Giles Jackson, who's a tryout. Taylor Morin, who's an undrafted free agent signing. Then you got Malik Knowles and DeLe'Veon Campbell, who are tryouts. At tight end, you got Drake Dabney and Willis Holden, who are tryouts as well. Holland Pierce, Laken Vakalahi, Cameron Williams, like a lot of guys came. So the Eagles have
go back and watch film on that big kid you was talking about. Kid from Rutgers.
Oh, Holland Pierce, yeah.
So
the Eagles got a lot of guys, look at a lot of young guys, and all these young guys coming into the building, it makes me just think about the position battles, right? It makes me think about the competition. These guys, the Eagles have so much talent to sift through. And I think the hardest cuts is going to happen on the offensive line. That's going to be the most difficult.
When you got guys like that, and it's hard to see because they don't hit in, like, you really got to lean on Stoutland and trust his judgment that you're going to get the best out of these guys, because they don't, you know how I feel. They don't bang as much as we used to bang. So it's very difficult to really, really see what you got. But they've been doing it for this long. Jeff Stoutland's been doing it, and he ain't had no issues or no problems. So I trust that we're going to have all of these boys in the trenches again, and we're going to dominate the trenches. That's where it's at. Our offensive line is going to be stacked again. Our defensive line is going to be stacked again, and that's where everything starts and ends, in the trenches. And I think Howie has learned that lesson.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what this rotation looks like on the defensive line, because I'm looking at the depth chart right now, and the obvious guys in particular, right, when it comes to the edge, Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, right? Those are pretty much guarantees. Then we get on to the next level, Aziz Ojulari, Bryce Huff. Now, we don't know what Bryce Huff's future is. We don't ultimately know. Could they still trade him? Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I just don't know. He's just a difficult guy to trade right now with that contract.
Agreed.
Granted, only 1 year. It's a 3-year deal. Only 2 years were guaranteed. So the first year was a dud. You pay for that year. This year you got to pay for it. You know, if I'm a team, why would I trade for him now? Why not just wait?
Right.
And I could just get him for.
Facts.
I ain't got to pick up that guaranteed money or whatever. So at this rate, there's a chance he may be on this roster, but knowing Vic Fangio, this ain't the first time Vic Fangio buried somebody, no matter what they paid. So Bryce Huff, Aziz Ojulari, like they have a lot of competition. Does Josh Uche make the roster? Patrick Johnson, right? Antoine Power Island Jr. Like they brought in some guys that have some really exciting traits. And they hedged their bet. Aziz Ojulari, we know he can get to the quarterback, but can he stay healthy? We're going to find out, right? Josh Uche, he had that one really strong season. Other than that, he's been pretty mediocre. So can he crack through?
Did you hear Howie's comments about competition?
I didn't.
Yeah, he said that. I think he was on WIP, and he was talking about the competition that he's bringing in, and it's just going to bring out the best in everybody. And he's 100% correct.
Absolutely, because now you got guys on this team who've seen what it looks like when hard work, preparation, and talent all coincide. These guys, see, bringing in this kind of talent, coming off of a Super Bowl win, it keeps everybody on their toes, and it makes people go that much harder because you know where you are. You know what the standard is.
Right.
And you got a bunch of young guys on this team that were rookies last year that played a lot of reps, and they made an impact, and they saw what it looks like. They know what not only success, but they know what's required to get there. So they're in my opinion, they're beyond just second-year players because of how much football they played and the level of football they played. In my opinion, year 2 started in the wild card round. That's just my thought process on that.
Nah, you're 100% right, because when you get playoff checks, that's a level of intensity that you don't see in the regular season, with the exception of a couple of teams that play rivals. Like every time we play Dallas, you know it's going to be up. You know, so, and you got that in every division. So with the exception of those, and even some of those are duds, but when you step into the playoffs, everything is elevated because it's win or go home. You playing for new game checks, and everybody wants that ultimate prize, even though everybody don't get it. So, you know, kind of looking back to, you know, in the beginning when we was talking about running it back, you got to be in a position to do that. You got to have the right mindset to do that. You got a lot of rookies coming in talking about going to the Super Bowl, and this kind of, you looking at them like you have no idea what it takes, but you're going to learn today. So we got more veterans putting in work, putting in good work that can bring these rooks around and get them to understand what it takes to get that ultimate prize. And on top of all of that, you got a quarterback that don't give a damn how he gets it done. He just gets it done.
That's so important. I think people don't understand how important that is. There's so many quarterbacks in this league that if it doesn't happen via their arm, it can't happen. They don't trust it to happen.
Right.
Jalen Hurts just cares about one result. Did we win or did we lose? Did I do everything possible to put my team in position to win? Did I make all the right decisions to put the ball in the right people's hands? That's what quarterbacking is. Quarterbacking isn't just throwing the ball. Quarterbacking is making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be, making sure you put the ball in the right people's hands, making sure that you give everybody on that field confidence.
Hey, keep talking, Tone. I'll be right back.
No, you all good. You all good. So it's like, you know, I look at this Eagles team and I say to myself, they're arguably more talented than last year. The only thing is it has to be proven. That's the part. That's the part that I can't really stand on yet. But I believe that they're obviously they're younger. You obviously took a hit at cornerback losing Slay and Rogers, but and you lost CJ. But I think they did a pretty good job at refortifying the roster, refortifying the castle. Now you have to just put those young men in position to get to that point and develop them. And we have some of the best developers in football. Vic Fangio, Clint Hurt, Jeremiah Washburn, Joe Casper, Bobby King, Christian Parker, Roy Anderson. You know what I'm saying? We have guys in this building that can pull the best out of these young players. And you got young players, you got players on the roster that's going to hold those guys accountable because they've been there. They got that pedigree, they got that championship DNA. When you win like that and you get a little bit removed from the situation, you know, the parades pass and all the celebrations pass.
Yep.
You get a certain level of maturity hits you.
The experience of winning.
There's something to that.
Why do you think everybody thought the Chiefs was just going to come in and roll over us? Because the experience of winning. That one thing right there, as goofy as it sounds, because as for as many people that study film, watch film, all of these analysts out there, they watched what the Eagles defense did, all of that stuff, and they still, the majority of the people thought that the Chiefs was just going to roll over us. And I'm like, the experience of winning will cause people that know better to just ignore the tape. To just ignore the tape. Everybody saw what we saw. The name on the logo on the side of the helmet don't make the hit, don't make the block, don't make the catch. The people do. But they got caught up in the Patrick Mahomes, and they got caught up in the experience of winning. And they didn't look at the tape, and they cost them. So you got to be careful, and you got to be able to stay hungry. One of the things I was talking about, I did another video, I don't even remember what it was, but I was talking about, are you hungry or do you want something to eat? And once you get a ring, you just want something to eat. The guys that come in, the vets that come in that ain't never sniffed the playoffs, all of that, you saw how emotional Mekhi Becton was because he was hungry based on his experience with the Jets and how they called him a bust and all of that type of stuff. He was hungry for it. So he understood, because just like we can talk about the experience of winning, the experience of losing, you know what not to do.
It'll do something to you.
Absolutely. What that dude asked Jalen Hurts is like, how do you process all of that? And Jalen was like, by losing. Like, you don't want to be in that situation. So there's experience in both cases. And Howie Roseman is just stacking everybody up. And we are getting, as a team, we are getting that winning experience. And that's the stuff that you can pass on. Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean. Devontae Smith is going to talk to Jihad. You know what I mean? So, and they're going to have their Alabama-Georgia rivalry on the team, but everybody in that group knows how to win. Everybody in our core nucleus, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, everybody's won national championships.
Yeah.
Keely Ringo.
Yeah,
everybody's won national championships. So they know what it takes to win, which is why I think, in my opinion, that is at least part of the reason why Jordan Davis got that 5th year. You want to keep the band together. You want to keep the band together. And all of that stuff I was saying about Hassan Reddick, keep your homeboys at home, right? We got it again. We got Jihad Campbell from South Jersey. Shout out to the GT Stallions. He's at home. And he was the best linebacker in the draft. And you got him at home. He fell again to us just like Nolan Smith did. What was they saying in the draft? How the hell does Philadelphia get lucky like this again? And, well, guess what?
Well, here's it. Here's the thing, right? Everybody watched that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they saw the final dish after we put all the ingredients in the pot.
Yeah.
And when you were able to be that dominant in the trenches, deliver that much punishment with just a 4-man rush, right? Be that dominant on the offensive line as well in terms of pass blocking.
No blitzes.
You know, like when you think about just how dominant it was, teams see that and then they go back to the drawing board and they think about, okay, we got to compete with that.
Yeah.
And I say all that to say 17 out of 32 first-round draft picks were either offensive linemen or defensive linemen.
Yep.
17 out of the 32 first-round picks. That's more than half.
For the Eagles?
No, for the league.
Just for the league. Okay.
Yeah, for the league. 17 out of 32 of the first-round draft picks were either offensive linemen or defensive linemen in this past draft, in the 2025 draft class. That's just over half. So teams are looking at it from the perspective of, okay, we got, before anything else, you got some teams that go for skill position guys or whatever it may be, but before anything else, 17 teams said, we got to fortify these trenches.
They got the memo.
They got the memo. You know who I think had a sneaky good draft? Mainly because of they predicated everything they did in that draft off of their first round pick. And I'm talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. I love what the Raiders did because it told me how serious they were about their identity.
Right.
I'm looking at their draft class here, and they drafted Genty in the first. They drafted a wide receiver in the second, a corner in the third, and they drafted 2 offensive linemen back to back: Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant.
They know where it is, especially when you got Tom Brady calling the shots. He understands it. They drafted 3 wide receivers,
one running back in Genty, and they drafted 2 offensive linemen. They're trying to fortify that line and lean into the identity that is Ashton Genty.
Right.
They're building their team around Ashton Genty, as they should.
We'll see. They trying not to make the same mistake that Atlanta made. Bijan Robinson is a beast, but he running behind. All you got to do is stop Bijan, and then you're gonna beat the Falcons.
Basically, because in my humble opinion, I don't think Drake London has lived up to top billing.
Atlanta and the Giants are twins.
I don't think Kyle Pitts has lived up to top billing. I don't. The way they talk, I remember when they talked about him out of college. He's not been as dominant as they. In my opinion, he's too small.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's too small to be dominant. This is my opinion.
Well, hey, that's why you get on the field, man. You saw. Did you see what happened? What's the offensive lineman that the Cowboys drafted that said that he wanna go against Jalen Carter?
You're talking about
They said he's given up only 3 sacks in like his whole career.
You're talking about Tyler Booker, right?
I think so.
I think it's Tyler Booker.
They asked him who he wanted to go up against, and he said, "I want to go up against Jalen Carter."
Yeah, you're probably talking about Tyler Booker out of Alabama.
Yeah,
but here's the thing, right? I forgot who was talking about this. They said he only gave up 3 sacks in his career, right?
Yeah, and we know we probably talk about the same clip.
But when you double back to where those sacks came from,
they came from Jalen.
They came from Georgia when he went up against Jalen Carter.
Took him to the woodshed.
So I don't know if you're talking from the perspective of redemption, or that's just your ego talking.
Yeah.
But relax, young blood.
Yeah.
Relax.
It's all good till you step on the field.
Relax. It's levels to this thing.
What?
There's levels to this thing.
What?
You talking to a Super Bowl champion? You talking to All Pro Jalen Carter? Relax.
Was I talking to you about like what happens when players get taped to the goalpost?
No. You was talking to me about that.
So that must have been when you were traveling. I told a story about like when I was with the Eagles. There's always, and this it used to happen in every camp. It probably doesn't happen no more now, but there was always one rookie or one like first or second year vet that talked too much, was just doing too much, and there was always a guy, and he got earmarked. And one day in practice, you see all the vets with knots in their socks, and they got rolls of tape, and they would tackle the dude, tape him to the goalpost, and dump Gatorade on his head. And of course, then the press is there, so everybody takes pictures, all of that type of stuff. But it was just something to embarrass him, just a little hazing to embarrass him, because somebody like that always talks too much shit. There's always one on every team. This guy is going to F around and find out.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of, one of my favorite things about football is the one thing I love about football the most is I love seeing the love for the game leave somebody's eyes when he's finished with it. And I'm like, okay, that sound cool. That sound good on the t-shirt. You know what I mean? That sound good in the tweet. You feel me? But at the end of the day, you gotta lace it up, big dog. You gotta lace it up. And you got to deal with Jalen Carter. You got to deal with Jordan Davis. You got to deal with Moro Jomo. You got to deal with all those boys two times a year. 2 times a year. Do you got that in you?
Got to be careful.
Do you got that in you? Wait, what Beast Mode say? He said, you just got to run through somebody's face. Run through somebody's face, and you ain't got to worry about it no more. Over and 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 over again. The dude said, "What you learn from that?" He said, "Run through a motherfucking face. You ain't got to worry about him no more." Hey, Tyler Booker, slow down, player. Slow down. You look as of right now.
Yeah, finish rookie camp first.
Yeah.
Before you bring that noise up this way,
get some grass stains on your jersey first.
But you know what? Dallas Cowboys gonna lean into that stuff. And it's like, all right, y'all ain't learned y'all lesson yet, but you're going to find out.
That's all I'm saying. It's like,
you're going to find out. Jalen Carter, hey, Linda, you 100% right. Jalen Carter been moving the crowd with veterans and all pros. Y'all better stop playing.
Right, and now he got that playoff experience, that deep play. Like, that 2-play run he had against the Rams, that's the kind of thing that puts you into that elevates you mentally.
Yeah.
As a player. In that kind of situation, come on, man. It's levels to this thing. See, the Cowboys, they real good for drafting people that they can put behind the microphone when they all said and done. They're real good for that.
K. Robinson, I heard that. I laughed out loud when I saw that shit. But yeah, we definitely close. Listen. If that's what you think close is, all right, you go ahead and roll with that.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I just can't hide it. It's too close
to that Jerry juice.
It's too close. Is that what it is?
Oh my God.
Too close.
Got to keep it a beam, man. But they gonna find out, man. They're gonna find out. Listen. So we knocked it out of the park. Howie knocked it out of the park again.
He definitely
solid
did.
decisions. My only gripe, my only nitpick is that we didn't get a tight end.
Okay, I'll stay there. I'm glad you brought that up. Because that was the number one thing I noticed in his draft class. We didn't bring in a tight end. So my thought process on that is, or how I digest that is, he must clearly. Well, obviously, that means Dallas Goedert's future is still uncertain. But at the same time, I think they're trying to work something out with Dallas Goedert. That's that.
I'm good with that. But please, Dallas, please stay on the field, bro.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
And number 2, I think they like that tight end room they have more than we think they do.
Agreed.
Like, I think they're higher on Grant Calcaterra's developmental arc than we are.
Yes,
I think
100%.
I think they're higher on EJ Jenkins than we probably are or thought they were. And guys like Kylan Granson and Harrison Bryant, I think those guys are just there to compete with each other, really. I think the Eagles like EJ Jenkins a lot.
We'll see what they do, because now you got every opportunity
Okay.
to put them in there.
My bad. I got distracted again because we have somebody who's behind in the show and they're commenting and it just pops up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I got to remind myself that he's not on time. So
Gotcha.
I almost responded to what he said.
Okay.
Because sidebar, like, you know, it's the JD topic again.
Yeah.
And regarding his 5th-year option, you know, I said that, hey, they wasn't going to pick it up. That was my prediction.
Yeah, you got to hit send, Ziggy.
Right. They ended up picking it up. I said, okay, bet, cool. I'm happy for JD. And then I move forward now. Now that the option is picked up, I say, okay, now that the option is picked up, what's his long-term football future in Philadelphia beyond the option? Because y'all want him here y'all want him next to Carter forever. Y'all want that. So that's the next step of the conversation. No one's moving a goalpost. It's called forwarding a conversation. I firmly think people are stupid. Like,
for sure.
Firmly think people are stupid.
But
it's all good though.
I like Dallas, but $15 million for 8 games. That is a valid argument.
And guess what?
That is a valid argument. I don't disagree with you. I still like Dallas, but I understand.
And over the past 3 seasons, he's missed a grand total of 15 games combined. That's damn near a season. And in those 15 games, I think the Eagles are, what was it, 13-2 or was it 12-3? I think I said 13-2, right?
Yeah, I think so. We've been doing all right when he wasn't in the game.
Right.
So with Grant Calcaterra,
13-2.
So, yeah. So he is, I won't say he's expendable, but we'll be okay once he's gone. If it comes to that. So clearly we keeping him around, but he just got to stay on the field. He got to stay on the field.
Yeah, he has to stay on the football field. Because
sidebar real quick.
Yeah,
I just got a text from Nakobe. I asked him, I said, how's the rehab going? He said, getting well, been getting better every day.
Cool. You know, people even try to bite my head off because I said, you know, the Eagles were disappointed when Nakobe got hurt.
Absolutely, because he was balling.
Right. And that's not saying they're disappointed in the player. They're disappointed in the circumstance.
Right.
People tried to kill me for that. Yo, they've been trying to go at me these past couple of days. But it's all good, though. I invite it all because I'm built for it.
Like, you can't please everybody, Tony. You already know that.
Of course not, but it's hilarious, and I enjoy
you already
it.
Know.
Can't please everybody. My problem is I look forward to the smoke too much. That's my problem. But Nakobe, he's somebody that was playing phenomenal. And then he goes down in the wild card round. Everybody was disappointed. We all was like, damn, Nakobe, damn. This is a run. We need you. And then obviously Oren Burke, and then we all can't pretend like we weren't concerned. After that, we was like, okay, what's that position gonna look like after the fact? Oren Burks comes in and stabilizes it a little bit. But like when he got hurt, we were all disappointed that it happened.
We was all feeling some kind of way.
Right. We all felt some kind of way. And none of those feelings are mutually exclusive. I can be disappointed and concerned at the same time. And none of that has anything to do with the player's work ethic. None of that is putting blame on the player. I'm disappointed in the circumstance. I'm disappointed that we was in the midst of a magical run and he couldn't be a part of it. I was disappointed in that. And I think that's a reasonable feeling to have. But now they've loaded up that linebacker room, and his return isn't going to be just the uphill battle because of injury. Now it's going to be an uphill battle because of the competition.
He's gonna be good, man. He'll be a coach in the film room. So I think he'll be back. I don't know. Well, we'll see when he gets on the field. But our linebacker room is stacked now. I mean, look at every position we got.
Mm-hmm.
Every position we got.
Yeah.
Ty Robinson is backing up Ojomo.
Yeah.
Davis is in there. Jalen Carter. You got Uche, Patrick Johnson. You got APR. Ulajare is gonna swing both ways. And I always forget this dude, Adoree Jackson. I always forget him.
Yeah, he definitely is in the roster. I forgot about him too. They brought him in directly to compete with Keeley.
Right.
I think Keeley is a guy that they want to win that role. You know, Keeley is a guy that he's entering year 3, kind of similar to when the Kobe situation was entering year 3 at the time. This could be the season where Keeley breaks out, but they didn't just give it to N'Kobe, right? They brought in Devin White to challenge him a little bit. In this season, they brought in Adoree Jackson to challenge Keeley. So I don't think this is a situation where Keeley, I think Keeley should be able to win this job, but they've cleared the runway for him. Darius Slay's not here. Isaiah Rodgers, they could have afforded Isaiah Rodgers, by the way. They could have afforded that, but they said, we're not going to do that. We like Keeley. We've been developing him. It's time for him to prove. We got him on a rookie deal. He's cost controlled. You know, let's invest in him and then bring in some cheaper options. You know, to back him up.
I feel about him. I'm ready to see him get in there and rock and roll. So
I was ready to see him last year.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought he beat out Isaiah Rodgers personally.
I did too. I
thought he beat him out, but hey, Vic Fangio knew best, and it worked out for the best. But
yeah,
I think it's Keeley's time, and I think the Eagles know that, and they're ready for it as well. But they're not just going to hand it to him,
right?
And that's where Adoree Jackson comes in.
We'll see. I can't wait. I cannot wait, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And we can still sign some other people. So you know how we ain't done.
Yeah, that's another thing too, right? The offseason doesn't just like player acquisition, excuse me, player acquisition doesn't end after the draft, right? Or after free. It doesn't end. You know, they're gonna be looking at a bunch of guys to try to, you know, add to this thing and you know, so on and so forth. So another thing I want to broach with you. Now that I think about it. I know you brought up the Ty Robinson situation with Jordan Davis, right? You know, just keeping him on his toes. But I think that Ty Robinson situation is more closely akin to the Moro Ojomo Milton Williams situation. Follow me here on this. Tyler Robinson, from a measurable standpoint, doesn't compare to Jordan Davis. They're like
right.
They're like a mountain versus a hill in terms of just size, right? And I think, just follow me here. Milton Williams, right? He's drafted in 2021. He's a part of the Hurts draft. No.
Yep.
He's a part of the
he done paid his dues.
He was drafted in 2021. Right? Make sure I got that right here. Milton Williams was drafted in 2021. He learns behind Fletch, Javon Hargrave, Adama Gasul, Linval Joseph. He learns behind those guys, right? 2 years later, he's entering year 3. 2023 draft comes. Who do the Eagles draft? Moro Ojomo.
Yep.
Moro Ojomo's developing. He learns behind Milton. He learns behind, you know, Carter and Fletch and all those guys, right? He JD. He learns behind those guys. And the Eagles draft Moro Ojomo because they're foreshadowing a situation where Milton Williams elevates his game to a point where they can't afford him. So yes. Moro Ojomo becomes the heir to Milton Williams' role.
It's that same situation all over again.
Then 2 years later, we enter the 2025 draft.
And
Moro Ojomo is now in the Milton situation, and Ty Robinson enters the Moro spot. So there's a chance, and this all depends on if Moro Ojomo reaches a level that we won't be able to afford or whatever it may be. It all depends. But this is a cycle. Milton Williams, 2 years later, we draft Moro Jomo. 2 years later, we draft Ty Robinson. I think that cycle right there is what the Eagles are looking at rather than the Jordan Davis comp with Ty Robinson. Because Ty Robinson is like 6'6", 288. Jordan Davis is like, no, I'm sorry. Ty Robinson is like 6'4", 6'5", like 288. Jordan Davis is like 6'6", 340, 330. So it's different body compositions.
That's a lot of wingspans in passing lanes.
Exactly. So I think the Ty Robinson edition is more so related to a Moro Jomo situation rather than and also you lost Milton, but Moro moves into that Milton role.
Yeah. It just rinses and repeats.
Yeah. That's how I see that. And again, I think the Eagles want Jordan Davis here. But it's
absolutely.
It
puts him in a situation where if you produce, we're gonna take care of you.
Right.
If you don't, we got somebody in the wings ready.
Right. What's the next step for you in Jordan Davis's development? If you believe there's a next step, if you believe he needs to up the game, because there's some people who doesn't think he needs to get better.
If he can play his way to be a little bit more consistent pass defender. But I'm saying that because I think that's the obvious answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what he does, I think he's a role player and he plays his role well. Mm-hmm. Every now and then he's going to get a sack. Every now and then he's going to get a hurry.
Right.
But for the most part, we just want him to take up space. We want him to take up two blockers. So Jalen Carter can get loose or Nolan Smith can get loose or whatever defense Vic is calling. He's an addendum.
Okay.
You add to it. It just makes the situation better. Do you need it? Absolutely not really. It doesn't affect the recipe one way or the other, but it's almost like a garnish. Just makes it look good. He knows his role, and he's just an expensive role player. But as long as he keeps playing his part and it pays dividends, then it was worth it. And I
already think it's paid its. I think it's already paid its due.
Absolutely, we got a Super Bowl out of it.
Yeah. So I think him acquiescing to his role has already paid dividends because you won a Super Bowl out of it.
Absolutely, so that's the ultimate payoff.
Right, the Georgia experiment has worked. It's worked. Now we get to his snap counts, and in 2022. His rookie year, he played 224 snaps, which is 26% of the snaps. In 2023, he played 519 snaps. That's 45%. Then in 2024, it dropped again to 388 snaps to 37%. He's never played 50% of the snaps in his career.
Yeah.
And I know some people say his conditioning issues have been handled. And I'm not saying they haven't, but I also think it needs to be known that they're not putting him on the field a lot either. So it's one of those situations where his value is significantly important to what they do. His job, what he does is very important to what they do.
And hard stop. That is a role player by definition.
Right.
We have
now how much
purpose.
Now, how expensive is that role player?
It doesn't, and this is where I say it doesn't matter how expensive it is because he helped you get the ultimate prize. So it was worth any cost.
No, I'm talking going forward.
Going forward, but you already know the recipe.
Because as of right now, the cost was a first round pick. It's worth it now.
It's worth it now.
It was worth it now.
Is it worth getting the 5th-year extension with the $12 million?
Yes, he earned that.
Right.
He earned it. Now, granted, just because he earned it.
And to me, that's as far as you got to go because I don't expect him to do anything different. Because what he did last year helped us go to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So I shouldn't expect anything different. Yes, he's going to want to get more sacks and want to get more hurries and just get some more
he's going to
time
want
on
to
the
get more
field,
money.
and it should come. But if he gives me the same effort he gave last year when we went to the Super Bowl, I got to be good with that because we went to the Super Bowl.
And that's the thing. I'm good with that. Personally, I am good with that. I'm good with Jordan Davis being exactly who he is. I'm good with that. The question is, when contract talks come, will he be good with what that pays off to be financially?
I think he's going to have to be, because he's not going to put up numbers that would demand an Ajomo or a Crosby type contract.
And what if he pushes back?
He can push back. That's your right as a player. You can push back. Ask CJ Gardner-Johnson how that worked out for
him. And what are the potential outcomes if he pushes back and they don't come to an agreement? And that's the only reality I want people to look.
Everybody got a price. If you pushing your chips at the table and your play is not commensurate with what you asking for, we appreciate your service. Good luck in your next endeavor. That's the business of football.
And that's the business part I'm talking about.
And that's why I say it's a win-win for the Eagles.
Right. Why do you think people get so uncomfortable when you talk about the business plainly?
Because the people get biased because they like who they like. And I think that's where it comes from. I don't want to, how I was last year when they didn't re-sign Hassan Reddick. Keep your homeboys at home.
Yeah, you was hot about that.
He played his part. He deserved his money, and they still didn't do it. And guess what? Who was right and who was wrong? Howie was right. Everybody else that didn't like that move was wrong. Bryce Huff didn't turn out to be as expected, and we still got to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So let's just say if we getting again, let's go back to the run it back situation. What happens if Bryce Huff is better than he was last year? And last year we went to the Super Bowl. What happens if Nolan Smith stays healthy all year? And last year we went to the Super Bowl.
Hey.
What happens if Ajomo is just as good, if not better, than Milt Williams? And last year we went to the Super Bowl. So everybody's got a new floor. Because when you grow, every team's going to have peaks. But when you hit that valley, if the valley is higher than last year's peaks, now you know your team is growing.
Right.
So that's where we are right now. We might hit a little valley, but how high is that floor now? After everything we saw last year, after the new draft picks we got now, and us knowing what we know with the winning experience. Now you can't tell, can't nobody say, man, they ain't gonna never win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts.
That's done.
That's done.
It kills a lot of them.
Twice.
It's a lot of people that they
still want to hold on to it. They still want to hold on to it.
Now the new narrative is, well, he had a super team.
I don't care. That's what everybody wants to get.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, it's always fascinating to me how when they put limitations on someone, that person proves them wrong, and now it becomes an excuse. Now it becomes something new. Hey, well, he had Saquon. So hold on, wait, y'all realize he made it to a Super Bowl without Saquon, right? Now, exactly. Granted, he didn't win it, but even if my response to that is, I'm like, you 100% right. But what is every team trying to do? Why does every team that's supposed to go to the Super Bowl, how come they didn't make it? Because there was something missing. Something missing.
Ask the Ravens how they feel about that.
Exactly.
And I'm not talking about Lamar Jackson. I'm talking about when Trent Dilfer took them to the Super Bowl. They had a stacked team. No, they didn't. They had a stacked defense.
And the Ravens draft well every single year.
Every single year.
They draft so well every year. Like they have like Ozzie Newsome and Is it DeCosta? Eric DeCosta? Like DeCosta has learned from the Grandmaster and Ozzie Newsome, and they've been building that roster beautifully for years, for decades, and it didn't materialize in 2 Super Bowls during the Ozzie Newsome era. But it's one of those things. Like, now you look at them and you say to yourself, "What's usually you got the quarterback? Apparently, you got the offensive line, you got the running back." Some people would debate about your receivers, but in that offense, those receivers are great. In that offense, and what you guys asked them to do, they're phenomenal. Defense was really good. So it's just like, bottom line is, nobody picked the Eagles, bro. Preseason, they said we wouldn't win the division, wouldn't win the like. It was so many things,
and it's like, what do you want?
Now with the super team.
Was anybody worried about the term super team, or was anybody worried or saying that y'all had a stacked team when the Chiefs went back to back? They had a stacked team. They had Chris Jones and Tyreek Hill,
Trent McDuffie.
They had Patrick Mahomes. So they had Spags over there. Spags can dial up anything. I saw the video where Spags said, "I didn't watch the replay of the Super Bowl for 2 weeks."
He needed to get away from that for a little. He needed to get away from that specter for a little bit,
man, because of that ass whooping they put on him.
And guess what? People can say what they want to say. Jalen Hurts is Spags' kryptonite. He can't figure him out yet.
Correct. And
he's failed to figure him out.
Why is it that you have all of these people that claim they study the game, but we all know they don't? Because if they would study the game, they would have watched the tape and they would have saw how dominant our defensive line was and how porous the Chiefs' offensive line was. Everybody in their mama knew that dude Caliendo was going to cause a problem for Patrick Mahomes, and that's exactly what happened.
Caliendo and Joe Thuney cost them that game.
Well, Joe Thuney was fine at left tackle. Caliendo at left guard just could not. He was you remember we talked about that, and I said I watched tape, and this dude.
No, he was porous. See,
they said terrible.
They sacrificed 2 positions to fix one. That was their problem. They should have kept Thuney at left guard and took their lumps at left tackle.
100%. And guess what? If they would have left Thuney where he was supposed to be, it still wouldn't have mattered. Our defensive line was that good. That good. But everybody gives excuses. Well, you got Saquon. You had a 2,000-yard rusher, and he's supposed to win every game. Well, that wasn't what you were saying in week 9 with Carolina and jumping on the bandwagon about AJ being unhappy. You wasn't worried about a super team then.
They called Saquon washed when we signed him.
Man, stop playing with me.
Come on, man. Come on.
If you're gonna be mad by yourself.
They was calling Nick Sirianni a doofus.
Yeah.
They was disrespecting the boy.
I 100% agree with Joy Taylor. Don't nobody know what the hell they talking about when it comes to quarterback evaluation. Everybody guessing.
They guessing at the end of the day.
Everybody guessing.
She nailed it. I love the way she looks at the game. It's very pragmatic. It's very matter of factly. You know what I mean? Like, bro, people like to overcomplicate. People like to sound smart and overcomplicate the game.
Correct.
And the reality is they're guessing. We're all guessing.
Since I looked this up, since 1970, and this is specific, since 1970, there has been 27 quarterbacks that were picked number 1 in the draft.
Since 1970?
Since 1970. We going back to Terry Bradshaw.
And you said there were how many quarterbacks in the first round selected?
27. Okay. 27 quarterbacks were the number 1 pick.
Oh, number 1 overall.
Correct.
Okay.
Out of those 27, only 6 of them have a ring. Matt Stafford, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, John Elway, and Terry Bradshaw.
Wow.
Now, you got to expand that number. This is where I couldn't find a good number on. If you expand that number and just say all of the quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, not number one, but they were first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
That number is triple or quadruple, and the percentage of those quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl gets even smaller.
You would have to really do the math on that and really
Yes.
go back to every draft class.
I know it's out there. I just couldn't find it.
No, it's out there, but you may have to do that manually.
Right.
You're going to have to go to every draft class, count the quarterbacks in the first round, then go to the next draft. It'll probably take you if you do it with no distractions, it might take you an hour and a half.
It's going to take a minute. But my point is, everybody want to forget Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. Joe Montana was a 3rd round pick.
Brock Purdy was a 7th round pick. He's been to Super Bowl.
Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's more quarterbacks that aren't drafted in the first round that have gone to Super Bowls.
What about one? There's more quarterbacks who are there more quarterbacks who weren't drafted in the first round that have won more Super Bowls than quarterbacks drafted in the first?
I would think so. If you go back and you look at all the quarterback winners where they were drafted, I would think I would have to do that homework, but I would think there's more quarterbacks
because there's more rounds, so it should be more, right? It's more rounds between 2nd and 7th than just the first. So just mathematically, it should be more, right?
Let's see.
Yeah,
let's just go back. Winning QBs from last. Let's go back 15 years.
You said how many years we're gonna go back? Because I'm sorry about to search ChatGPT, see what happens.
I'm just gonna go back like 15 years.
Okay, so what is that? We're in 2025, so that's 2010.
Oh, well, you know what? I got the whole list. I can go back. I got the whole list. Let's just go from 2000.
Okay.
Right? Trent Dilfer. I don't think Trent Dilfer was a 1st round pick. Tom Brady, we know he was a 6th. Brad Johnson.
Now, are we counting their total Super Bowls or just the fact that they won one?
They ain't even got to win. If they've been to a Super Bowl.
You're just been to it. Okay.
Yeah. If they've even been to a Super Bowl.
Okay, so you're not counting all 7 of Tom Brady's trips. You're just counting
or
9 or 10 of his trips, right?
He is a 6th round pick that won multiple Super Bowls, right? Every Super Bowl plus one from every round. Brady. Ben Roethlisberger, I think he was a 1st round pick. Peyton Manning was a 1st round. Eli Manning was a 1st round. Back to Roethlisberger. Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees was 2nd round, 32nd pick. Joey Flacco. Joey Flacco was a 1st round, 18th pick. Nick Foles wasn't a 1st round pick.
Right.
Was Patrick Mahomes a 1st round pick?
Yeah. Yep. He was drafted after Deshaun Watson. That's the Mitchell Trubisky draft.
They went up
the Bears. The Bears are idiots, man.
Yeah. Yep. Jalen Hurts, 2nd round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody gets it wrong, man. Everybody thinks all the measurables, the 6'5", it don't matter. The best arm I've ever seen myself, the best arm I've ever seen in the NFL was Jeff George. Go back and look at tape on him. But that dude was the worst leader you could ever think of. He was horrible. And then we got Jalen Hurts and all of the stuff that they said he couldn't do. And of course, everybody wants to bring up what happened at Alabama and losing his job and all that kind of stuff. And that's all part of the process.
Wait, since the year 2000, I just searched ChatGPT. It says since the year 2000, and this can't be accurate because they're missing Jalen Hurts, but it says since the year 2000, 2 quarterbacks drafted between the 2nd and 7th rounds have won the Super Bowl as starting quarterbacks. They're missing Hurts. That should be 3.
2nd and 7th, you got Drew Brees, Jalen Hurts.
Drew Brees, Jalen Hurts, Nick Foles, Russell Wilson.
Nick Foles, Russell Wilson.
That's 4.
About him. And since when?
2000. That's 4.
Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer, 5.
Trent Dilfer was drafted. It doesn't say. College, Tampa Bay. Trent Dilfer was the second quarterback taken in the draft.
Overall? In the first round?
Yep. Trent Dilfer, he's
Dilfer's a first round pick?
With their first pick in the 1994 draft. 6th overall.
What?
Yep. So I was wrong on that one.
I had no idea. Well, he was in Tampa Bay.
Yep, he was in Tampa Bay for a long time.
Oh, wow. That's right. You're right about that.
But I guess my point is that all of that shit don't matter. It just doesn't. It's what matters is who can get it done. That's what matters. Who can get it done? Christopher the Moose Cunningham, thank you for the Phillies update.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
finally them bats is going.
But yeah, man, that's about all I got, bro.
Yeah.
I'm excited for these rooks coming in and
same.
Can't wait to get started, man. I can't wait to I can go up to practice and so I can see Jihad. It was like, Jihad, you don't even remember me, do you? Coach Marcus GT Stallions, bro. So, but yeah, it'll be fun, man. So you know what starts tonight? So WNBA starts tonight. Chicago got a preseason game.
Okay. I think Chicago had a nice draft.
I know people that would beg to differ, but
really,
I thought they had a pretty good draft. But you know how people get when they don't get who they want to get.
I
Chicago
think
got 2 international players, and a lot of Chicago fans were not happy about that.
They drafted Haley Van Lith, and they drafted the 2 girls. Those are the 2 international players you're talking about.
Yeah, because you trying to look at their lineup, but I think they're going to be better because I think Tyler Marsh is going to take the game to Camila Cardoso, and they didn't do that last year. They tried to feed Angel Reese. Angel Reese is a defensive player; she's not an offensive player. So by getting the ball down low to Cardoso, I think they're going to have a better chance. So we'll see what they're gonna do. But they got
You think Cardoso's offensive bag is deeper than Angel's?
Because
I think they're both defensive for sure. But Cardoso is she more offensive?
I don't know. I just say Cardoso is 6'6". So it's not gonna be many people that can match her. And what I saw her do at South Carolina, they just didn't get her the ball last year because Teresa Weatherspoon wanted to feed it to Angel down low. And it's like you got 6'3" and 6'6" or 6'7".
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious which way you go. And the other thing that people forget about was Cardoso got hurt early.
She did.
She was out early. So I understand why they was going with Angel. But they got Cardoso was played in the China League. She didn't play in Unrivaled. And she was doing work overseas. So I think that's going to translate better this year. And I think Tyler Marsh is going to run his offense through Cardoso, which is what they should have did last year.
I love where the WNBA is going. I love what Unrivaled has done as well.
Well, I tell you what, they got a shit ton of injuries right now.
What, in Unrivaled or just coming into the WNBA season?
The WNBA.
Because of Unrivaled?
No, they got a lot of Georgia Amore just got hurt. She just tore her ACL.
Who's the girl from? Is that the girl from the Mystics?
Yes, the girl from Kentucky. She just got hurt. Aaliyah Edwards just got hurt. Caitlin Clark just got hurt.
Yeah, was it a quad or a shoulder? Or
they just said lower leg.
Lower leg.
Caitlin Clark. I just think they're being cautious.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything dangerous, but Cam Brink is still out.
This is the first. Yeah, well, yeah, she had a ACL, right?
Yes.
So, isn't this the first season of the expanded season? They added more games, right?
Did they?
I think they added more games this year.
Well, yeah, they had to because the Valkyries are playing. So yes.
This is the first season for the Valkyries too.
Yes.
Oh.
So it's It's a lot, but the hype is behind it. Every team's getting a lot more traction, and it should be a good season.
Okay, so it's 44 regular season games. It's an increase from the 40 game regular season in 2024.
Right.
So 44 games. Okay. And it says the league will also host a new Commissioner's Cup format, adding extra games within the regular season.
I don't like that. I don't like the to me that just doesn't excite me. Didn't the NBA do that?
Yeah, it's the they did it's the mid, I forget what they called it, but
yeah,
they called it the Emirates Cup or something. It was something like that.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling that.
It kind of just comes and goes. Like it's like it happens and then people forget about it.
Exactly. They give them a little bonus if they win it, and then that's the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, they try to make it exciting with the different with the different court colors and all that kind of stuff. They try to make it unique, but
yeah,
it's not really exciting.
Look at this.
Playoffs have been really exciting though.
Look at this
for the NBA.
Connecticut Sun, Dallas Wings, Indiana Fever, Las Vegas Aces, Los Angeles Sparks, Minnesota Lynx. Look at all these people hurt for the Liberty.
Damn.
Seattle Storm, Mackenzie Holmes is day-to-day. Georgia Amore and Aaliyah Edwards are both out. And the Mystics had a good draft.
Wait, is my girl Dejanay Carrington healthy?
Dejanay Carrington is in Dallas. She's good.
Oh, so she's not in Connecticut no more?
No.
Oh, then she in Dallas, and Dallas just drafted a Paige Booker. Dallas is building a nice little squad over there.
Yeah, but Dallas is in my opinion, Dallas is in the same situation that Indiana was in last year. Because you got Paige Beckers, but she's gonna be playing with Arike Agumbawale.
Right, and she can hoop.
They said the same thing with Caitlin Clark playing with Kelsey Mitchell. It's gonna take some time for them to figure out what they need to do. And with Indiana, once they did that, and then they had that break, that Olympic break, they came back ready to roll. So I don't think it's going to be like that this year because most of these teams are not playing 11 games in 20 days like the Fever did last year. So it's going to be a little bit more smoother transition. But I think Paige Beckers is going to be good. But I'm very curious to see how she's going to play with Arike. That's what I want to see. So the Chicago plays the Brazilian team tonight. So they playing with Cardoso, and she playing probably somebody she used to play with in Brazil. So that'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it will.
I'm excited because preseason starts tonight. So yeah.
Hey man, should be an
exciting. We got rookies, we got WNBA. Keeping it moving, bro. Track and field. I was watching track and field today because they got the new track and field format.
What's that?
It's called what is it? Crap. Michael Johnson put it together. They were just in Philly.
Okay.
Grand Slam track. And basically, think of it like all of the best track runners. They get together for money. You win, you get paid. There's no preheats, there's no qualifying, none of that. You one race.
Oh, just straight up.
Straight up. And they ran today. I forget where they were running at, but I think last year it was in Philly. But yeah, Grand Slam track. I was watching that today.
I kind of like. I'm not really the biggest golf dude, but I like what Live Golf has done to the golfing scene.
Live was good. Live
like now they added this.
If Live gets on some better courses, they'll get some more traction.
But I just love what they've done. Not just Live, but I don't know if this is Live too, but they've added this new team format now, where it's like a team of like 3 or 4 golfers.
4.
And it's like a season, and then they play at different courses, and like the point system it's exciting.
Well, that's why the PGA had to change all up last year. Because everybody was jumping ship because Liv was paying all that money. Because they got all them teams owned by them Saudis over there with all of that oil money. So folks was jumping ship with $120 million contracts and, Mickelson and all of them. And then guys that was talking shit like they was never going to leave the PGA ended up leaving the PGA. And the PGA had a lot of egg on their face. So they had to change up some stuff.
Yeah, it's Live Golf. Yep, it's the Live Golf League.
Yeah, Live Golf League. Absolutely. I watched a couple of rounds last year.
Yo, I was up late one night just watching it. And I'm like, this is kind of exciting.
Yeah. It's a little different format, man. But they got a lot more money over there.
Do they?
It was bad if the PGA at one point, I don't think they're doing it anymore, but at one point the PGA was telling golfers, if you play in Live Tour, we're gonna pull your PGA card.
I remember that. And then PGA eventually just acquiesced to the whole thing and said, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yep. They was getting their ass kicked because at the end of the day, if your check is bigger than they check, you got to deal with it.
Yeah, man. And they got a lot of teams too.
Yeah.
They got a lot of teams, man. It's pretty.
It's catching fire.
Like I said, I was and the team names are pretty cool. The Ace, the 4 Aces GC, Cleeks Golf Club, the Crushers Golf Club, Fireballs, the High Flyers, the Ironheads, the Legion 13, Majestics, the Range Goats, the Rippers, the Smash. Like the color. It's exciting to me, man.
Yeah.
It makes golfing a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, it was different. It was different.
Definitely, man.
So,
but you look, I know you probably got to go. Me and you don't want to go off on a tangent a little bit. So
yep,
it's been a hell of a show, man. You already know it's fun. We link up. We like Voltron, big dog.
Yes, sir. We'll reconnect on Sunday. It'll be something else that'll happen.
For sure. We definitely linking up on Sunday. Got a lot to talk about. And wifey gonna be, with her friends. So I got I'm gonna be doing me. So we good. We straight.
That's what's up. All right, man. We're gonna get up on out of here, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. It was fire as usual. On the way out, make sure you hit them like buttons. Make sure you subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. Subscribe to Chalk It Up Sports. And we'll be back on Sunday. My transition is always or almost complete because the WNBA is starting tonight. So I'll be having a lot more content. And if you're not busy, mosey on over. I started a new channel specifically for basketball. It's called Pro Fan Hoops.
Oh, yeah. Let me subscribe.
It's got all the NCAA women's. It's strictly NCAA women's and WNBA. I ain't even doing NBA. So
let me go lock in on that. You said it's called Pro Fan Hoops.
Pro Fan Hoops. So I'm still gonna be creating all the content on this channel, but I'm taking all my basketball content and just copying it over there. And eventually, when I get the legs on that one, all my basketball is gonna be over there. This one is gonna be still football, trending sports, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I want my basketball stuff to have its own space because I know
that's smart. That's smart. I just subscribed to.
Appreciate you.
That's smart for sure. Sure, man. And last word, you guys. Stop whining. It's just football. Stop whining. It's just football.
Oh my God. All right, folks. We're gonna get up out of here. We're gonna see y'all on Sunday. What time? Sunday at 11?
Sunday at 11, big dog.
Sunday at 11 a.m., man. Eastern time. All right, y'all have a good one. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Blind guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by.